Hi guys, in today's video we're going to be learning to use a range of vocabulary to improve our writing. Now to start off with, I'm going to start by talking a little bit about VCOP here, very briefly. For anyone who doesn't know, VCOP stands for Vocabulary, Connectives, Openers and Punctuation. And this is something that is taught in many classrooms all over the country. And personally, and this is very much just an opinion piece, don't take this as absolute gospel, but personally, I despise this. I find it very unhelpful, and I am going to make no further reference to it in this video at all. I'm sure there are many people that find good ways of using it, but it is not the method that I'm going to be covering in these videos at all. Instead, what I think is far more productive is to make sure that we all have a good understanding of the fundamental building blocks of a sentence. Now, there are lots of word categories in addition to these, but these are 5 basic word categories that I think are really helpful to get a good understanding of. So we've got nouns, we've got adjectives, we've got verbs, we've got adverbs, and we've got prepositions. And these are basic building blocks for pretty much all sentences when it comes to creative writing in particular. So first up, we need to understand what these are, and that's what this is what part 1 of this video is really about. It's about understanding what these building blocks actually are, what they mean, and what they do. So, nouns first of all. Nouns are objects and things, places, people. Basically, if you can point to it, if it is a thing that you can point at, it's a noun. It also includes some more abstract concepts as well. We'll go into that in a wee minute. There are some things that basically you can't point at, but they're still nouns. Adjectives, they are words that describe a noun's properties. They give us more information about the noun. They tell us about a noun. So if we're talking about a chair, well, is it a wooden chair, or a black chair, or a plastic chair? All of those words that come before the noun tell us extra information about the noun. So it's describing the noun's properties. So in those examples, wooden and black and plastic, those are all examples of adjectives. Verbs are actions, often referred to as doing words, but I think it's better to refer to them as actions. It's an action that you can perform. If you can do it, it's a verb. Adverbs give us more information about verbs. Okay, they give us more information about how an action was done. So they describe how an action was done. Usually, they will end in ly, L-Y, ly. So gently, for example. But not always. There's plenty that don't end in ly. And then we've got prepositions, which describe a location or where something is happening. So on, or under, or beside. But let's just go through a whole load of examples for each one of these here. So nouns, first of all. Names are examples. John, Jane, the names of places. Edinburgh. Objects, table, chair. Forest, mountain, river, stream, ocean, waves. These are all examples of nouns. But included within nouns are things that you can't necessarily touch or point to. So shadow, okay, you can point to a shadow, but you can't touch it. Heat, sound, light, these are all kind of, they're a bit less physical, as it were. You can't touch those things, but you understand that they're real things. Coldness would be the same. And then emotions as well are also nouns. But generally when we talk about nouns, particularly at this level, we tend to be talking more about the slightly more physical things around us. So those are all examples of nouns there. Adjectives, as I said already, they give us information about a noun's properties. So we've got things that indicate size: big, gargantuan, colossal, small, minuscule. The emotional state of something. So is it happy or joyous or jovial or friendly? We often have words like majestic and elegant or graceful. Words that are slightly more negative in their meaning, like ominous or scary, atrocious. All of those give us extra information about a noun. So I could put any one of these words in front of a noun and it should make sense. So I could go for the gargantuan mountain. mountain being the noun, gargantuan being the adjective. I could go for the elegant ballerina, or the elegant dancer, or the graceful deer. And again, graceful would be the adjective, and deer is the noun. So adjectives describe nouns. Interestingly, a lot of these adjectives can be turned into adverbs simply by adding ly, ly, on the end of them. So, for example, if I take the word elegant and change it to elegantly, it suddenly becomes an adverb rather than an adjective. Though we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Verbs, on the other hand, they're just actions. Walk, stride. Now, of course, these can end in ing, walking, striding, or they could be in the past tense as well. Walked, strode, ambled. So with a D on the end, they're still verbs. So whether it is walk or walking or walked, they're all still verbs there. Some of them you'll notice could act as nouns as well. So you can imagine a blanket, and that would be a noun. But in the case of blanket, you could blanket something. You could cover something, couldn't you? Instead of envelope, you could envelop something. That's to cover it completely. So sometimes there's certain words that can cross categories and can be used in different ways. Some words you can use as a noun, others you can use as a verb. But verbs, in all cases, are actions, doing words, if you like. Then lastly, adverbs. Usually they end in ly, ly, but as you can see from the very first one, not always. There's a good number of adverbs that don't end in ly, and fast is one of them. You wouldn't say fastly, you would just say fast, but it describes how something was done. The girl ran. How did she run? Well, she ran fast, or she ran rapidly. Now, all of these, if you take off the ly, they suddenly become adjectives. So if I take off if I take off the ly from rapidly, I just get rapid. So I could describe a cheetah running rapidly, or I could just describe a rapid cheetah. So the distinction between an adjective and an adverb is, well, mainly how it's used. It's either describing a noun or it's describing a verb. But the way you often tell is by whether it has ly on the end. And then, last of all, we have prepositions. These just indicate the position of something. So on, under, beneath, beside, among, beyond. All of these are examples of prepositions. And usually you would need a noun to go with them. So, upon the table, beneath the waves, beside the tree, all that sort of stuff. You need another noun to go with them. But those are all examples of prepositions. So that's it, guys. For the first video, the most important thing is just to understand these simple building blocks. In our next video, we're going to be looking at how to use these simple building blocks in order to improve the quality of our writing overall. Cheers, guys.